Hi, this is Kristin from Good Morning Wilmington. I am here with a special city council person. If I could get you to introduce yourself for the people.
Absolutely. I am Councilwoman at Large Rashima Dixon. So good to see you all.
Yes, at large. We can't forget that part. So listen, I bumped into you here at the summit. What do you think so far?
It's been great. So the opportunity to really hear the last speeches. So I haven't been able to come to the conference so far, and this was my first one. So I was really excited to hear about how Black voices are being talked about in the entertainment business. And I had been missing the time that Freeway was here previously.
Yes,
so I was finally able to hear and see what he's doing, along with, I kind of connected a lot with the conversation around, how do we connect people to workforce and what does that look like? And the fact that that's the future for what Jimmy Allen and Freeway were talking about speaks value to a lot of the work that I do.
I know you're really big with, and you just had a celebration. You had some with the Pathways program. You had a graduating class, right? That's super. High five to you. I love all the work that you do, definitely. So you said this is your first Mill Summit you've actually attended?
No, so this is not my first one. This is just my first session. I was able to sit on this time around.
Oh, I got you, yes.
But no, I've been with Charlie and Spur Impact since the beginning of starting the Millennials. So starting from being a panelist and a speaker for their events, and I'm also, help sponsor in some cases from the city council realm. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. As a millennial, I'm always excited. So
listen, this is one of the major attractions here in Delaware. So I'm so excited. This is my first one.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been back home for not long. So this is my first one I'm actually getting to attend. I love the app. I've been able to join in from the app. And then with it being hybrid, I was able to make it today. So it was really exciting. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much. Indeed. Is there anything that you want to tell our viewers?
No, make sure that you tune in for the last session of the Millennial Summit. I know that today is the last day, but you also have coming from this, and then it's next year. Make sure that you're in attendance if you're not this year. But this is the biggest thing we're trying to make on the East Coast, not just in Delaware. So make sure all the millennials shine in their spaces across, not only here, but everywhere.
Definitely. And if I could get one last favor, can I get you to say Good Morning Wilmington in the camera for me?
Absolutely. Good morning, Wilmington.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Rashima. All right. Thanks, Gia. Hi, this is Kristin with DETV's Good Morning Wilmington, and I'm here with a very special panel guest for the Mill Summit. Let me get you to introduce yourself.
I am Grouchy Greg, founder of allhiphop.com, Delaware resident, supporter of DETV since day one.
Yes, indeed. You said you went to school with Ivan, right?
Went to school with him, Glasgow High School, the Dragons, #1 high school in the state.
Well, all right. Listen, so the Mill Summit, we know it's a really big event, especially here in the state of Delaware. For all of us millennials who are looking to move and shake and be effective within our communities. So you got to sit in on a panel today. Lots of great information that was exchanged. So I have a question for you. We've had a lot of businesses surge during the pandemic, more specifically Black businesses too. What kind of encouragement do you have for those entrepreneurs who are just launching out and maybe feel a little discouraged because of circumstances?
Well, don't feel discouraged. In life and in business, there's going to be ups and downs. Us going on our all hip hop going on its 25th year, whatever business you're in for that length of time, you realize that situations can be temporary. And the more you educate yourself on the industry that you're in, the easier it becomes to navigate the rocky waters of being an entrepreneur. The second thing I would recommend is the importance of mental health and exercise. So two different things. Mental health, number one, figuring out and understanding that whatever business or a vertical that you're in, there are people who have come before you that you can learn from and be inspired by. And then the second part is your physical health, making sure that you're finding ways to burn off stress, negative energy, healthy ways, because it is easy to turn to vices, whether it's drinking or smoking, and those things 10 times out of 10 exasperate the problems that you're having. So keeping a sober mind, keeping a healthy mind state, and most importantly, educating yourself.
Most definitely. Now, let me ask you this. So you've been in the game for 25 years now. That is amazing. How did you get started? How did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, luckily for me, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be in the music business. From the time that my parents bought me my first tape recorder, I was 2 years old. I remember being in my car seat, and I remember I was thinking the other day, the first records that I ever touched. I mean, I literally remember the excitement of getting a record. I've collected records since I was in 5th grade, going out and buying records. So this was a path that I knew I was going to take. I thought I was going to be a rapper at one point. I thought I was going to own a record label. No, I did own a record label at one point that had some critical success. But, the lack of knowledge about accounting, which we talked about on the panel, drove my first business into the ground. But I didn't give up. I was undeterred. And, 93 is when I got my father thankfully bought us, our family, our first computer. There was America Online on it. AOL. And AOL. And I realized quickly that there was an industry or a group of people I could service with my music and not have to worry about traditional distribution from a major label. By the time 96 rolled around, my partner and I, Chuck Creekmer, who's also a Delaware resident and a University of Delaware graduate, by the way, recognized that there was an opportunity to take a magazine format and bring it into a daily format on the internet. And we were the first urban brand to launch a daily focused websites focusing specifically on hip hop in the world.
That is so incredible. Listen, an amazing story. Now I know, and first off, I just want to take a moment for pause. So many great things come out of the state of Delaware. I'm always thinking about whenever I've traveled or the different places I've lived, everyone has a joke, Delaware.
Right.
But listen, aside from President Biden and all of the greatness that we have going on currently, we have so many amazing people who are Delaware residents that are out here doing things, and for quite some time too. Now, I know you said this on the panel when you guys are wrapping up, but what is next for you?
Well, expanding the brand, working on a plan for not only the next 3-5 years, but even further down the road, how we can last another 25 years. Both my partner and I are adamant that the brand outlive us. That it's something that, because we both own it and control it, that we pass along or keep it in the family as long as we can. So, training a new generation of people, working with a new generation of writers, and, expanding all hip hop into other verticals. So we have allhiphop.tv in the works. We're working on shopping around deals for documentaries to Netflix, Hulu, we're working on a whole podcast branch of All Hip Hop. So, we have a lot of green pastures in front of us. And I don't just mean green pastures, I mean green pastures.
Green pastures, I got you. Listen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. If I could get you to do one thing for me, if you could look at the camera and say, "Good morning, Wilmington."
Good morning, Wilmington. All hip hop in the building, representing DETV always.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll be right back. All right, this is Kristin, and I'm back with you from Good Morning Wilmington. We're here at the 2021 Mill Summit, and I have a special attendee here. Let me get you to introduce yourself.
Sure. Danae Crumrine. I work at Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, Delaware, but I'm also serving as an executive co-chair of this year's Mill Summit.
Listen, so exciting. So I sat in on the last panel discussion.
Fire.
Oh my goodness gracious. Listen, tell me your thoughts. And I'm sure I've been watching from the app online.
Awesome.
But I'm so happy that I got to be here today to participate. Tell me, what do you think so far?
So it's been an amazing experience. I've been with the Mill Summit since its inception 5 years ago. So to watch it grow and evolve has been such a joy. and a labor of love for all of us. And to do this kind of hybrid feel has been an adventure, right? We're in this crazy COVID time. And so I'm just thrilled that people are in person, we're wearing masks, we're being safe, but we're still able to engage and network in person.
Definitely.
And we're bringing some amazing content from various speakers from across the globe. I actually sat in one today, and our speaker, Sir Marcus Robinson, he's from the UK. And then to have, celebrity Jimmy Allen
Yes.
and then local Philly Freeway here has just been astounding.
I know. Oh my gosh. So tell me, across all of the days that we've been in session, what's been your most impactful session that you've sat in on or conversation that you've participated in?
Sure. So I actually was able to talk on a panel called JEDI. It was Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion.
Yes.
And so I was a panelist, but my colleagues on that panel were so vulnerable talking about their experience with race and equality or lack thereof. And we all came from such different backgrounds and lived experiences around those topics that it was super powerful to have people be authentic in that space and then be able to create a dialogue where folks could understand that we're just all different, and you can't guess where someone came from, and you really have to get to know somebody to really get their story.
Definitely. Listen, I appreciated the level of transparency that they gave in those conversations. It's one of those, for me, it was like a kitchen table conversation, very intimate and enlightening. So I really appreciated that conversation. Tell me, what's up next? What else do you have going on? Or what other, I think there's only one last session here because it's the last day.
Yes.
But is there anything that you'd like to say to our viewers?
I would just say thank you for participating, whether it's virtually or in person. Thanks to all of our sponsors and our nonprofit partners, to everyone who really made this come to life, because I think it was one of our speakers earlier, I'm sure was a theme throughout the week, but your network is your net worth, and the more people that you know and the more connections that you have, the better of a person you are, and the more we can give back to our community collectively.
Definitely, and it's all about giving back to the community. So listen, I really appreciate you, Danae. If I could get one last favor from you,
Sure.
If I could get you to look at the camera and just say, "Good morning, Wilmington."
Good morning, Wilmington.
Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you. All right, and I'm Kristin from Good Morning Wilmington. I am here with an amazing keynote speaker from the Mill Summit. Let me get you to introduce yourself.
Sure, my name is Disha Dyer, and I am originally from Philadelphia, so right up the road, and I am the founder and CEO of Hook and Fasten, a social impact agency.
Yes, Philly in the house. So listen, Disha, your keynote was so inspirational.
Thank you.
First and foremost, hearing your transition from working retail to how you got into the White House and then leaving the White House and getting into entrepreneurship. That was amazing to hear. And what stuck out to me is how you were saying to always be authentically you. And that's what it's all about. It's not being about, who has the most education or anything of the sort. But talk to me a little about, and I know you mentioned this during the session, but the feelings that you had when it came to what could be considered a lack.
Yeah, definitely. I think that especially going to, and thank you for the kind words, but especially going to the White House as someone who didn't have a college degree, I was really stressed, and I was thinking, I just don't have what it takes to be here. I think that oftentimes we think that, as we talked about during the panel, our weaknesses, are the thing that is going to hold us back. But for me, it became my strengths. And so I feel like what we think that we lack, we really don't. And what I lean into now is really like, what am I good at? What do I love to do? And I look back at all my accomplishments, as we all should do, not just people who are at the White House or in these esteemed positions, but anybody should look back at their accomplishments and say, I did those things. I did those things. They happened because I curated them, right? I am powerful. Right? You got to call it out. And so for me, I had to get into that vibe of being like, I'm good at what I do. Yeah. I love what I do, and I can put that anywhere in the world, but you have to silence those voices that tell you can't. And that includes your own.
Yeah. And our own voices of doubt or insecurity, they can be really loud and stifling even at times. I know, so I had one of my great grandmothers, I was supposed to have great grandparents. So she used to tell me all the time, Kristin, you can't be afraid to toot your own horn because nobody else is going to do it for you.
100%.
And I have a journey that's, I didn't make it to the White House, however, similar in terms of when it comes to education and moving forward in being authentically you and getting these opportunities afforded to you. But walking in your own respect and not really paying attention to all of the static, all that noise. I think that's so amazing and so encouraging. There were a lot of businesses that boomed, even with COVID happening. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs out here who maybe need some encouragement. What would you like to say to them?
I would say number one, like shout out to you for even like starting, you know what I mean? Even taking your gift and wanting to put it into a monetized situation. So that's the first thing I would say. Number two, I would say like, don't just take stuff because, you think that's all you could get, abundance will come, things will come, but it takes a while. So I would say just keep going and don't give up. But if you do give up, don't look at yourself as a failure. Look at it like I tried, I did the best that I could, but also get the word out. Don't be afraid to say like, I am the best in this. Don't be afraid to say like, I need help with accounting or taxes or other things. Lean on other entrepreneurs. Like for me, I'm able to lean on a really great network of women, especially Black women that are in the same social impact community space, DEI space. So I can go to them and say, I don't understand this, or I need help with this. Don't be too proud to get help with something. And again, my last thing is like, congratulations. Like, shout out to you. Starting a business and doing that is no easy feat. So don't be discouraged if you don't make profits right away. Don't be discouraged, like especially if you're opening a business in your hometown. Like how amazing is it? Like, you grew up and you're born and raised in Delaware, and then you come back or you stay here and you open up a business. Like think about what you're doing for your community, you're doing for the local economy, and just keep going.
Definitely. Now, so you mentioned something that I think about children. And, children in the community who maybe don't have all the access to resources and education and opportunities when it comes to feeding their dreams and fueling them to go forward. You're from Philly. I'm not sure what your upbringing was like, what kind of community you lived in, but for these kids, just a bunch of kids from Delaware, Philly, do you have anything that you could say to them to inspire them?
Yeah, this is what I would say is that I feel like you can learn from anybody in your community. So it doesn't have to be a business owner where you say, I want to own a business, so I got to talk to the business owner, and then that's what's going to make me successful. You have to learn from everybody. Let's learn from the person the grandma down the block. Let's learn from some of your elected officials. Let's learn from just like my other friends' parents. And so I feel like, when you're that young, look around you at different role models that you could have and different people doing things that you may want to do, and just ask them a question.
There's lots of inspiration out here.
Because I guarantee you that most adults, when a child comes and says like, I would love to learn more about this or that, most adults will be like, that I'm flattered that you want to do that. Let me teach you and show you how to do that. And don't be discouraged when you're the only one doing something. Do not be discouraged. Just keep going, because we may need you in that space, and you may be the trailblazer that brings in other people. But also, don't be afraid to just be a kid. You know what I mean? Like, be a kid. Have fun. You know what I mean? Go to the pool, run through the hydrant, ride your bike. Don't feel like you have to grow up right now because the world says you have to. Also be a kid and enjoy doing that too.
I like that. And then last thing, mental health.
Yeah.
You spoke about that during your keynote. So mental health, when you are dealing with, just trying to grind out and make something of yourself, it's extremely important. I think it's something that should definitely be incorporated into the educational curriculum growing up,
For sure.
What do you have to say in regards to mental health? And I know it's important to you, but what kind of encouragement or any tidbits you have?
I say, like, we need to normalize talking about therapy. We need to normalize talking about trauma. We need to normalize talking about joy. So it doesn't have to just be these negative things all the time, but there's a flip side to the coin. So I feel like we need to have more conversations that we curate when people are young to make it normal to talk about these things. But I say, don't be afraid to say, I'm going through a hard time. I can't get out of bed today. Like, I feel whatever. Like, that doesn't make you any less. Be honest with your feelings and find someone to talk to, whether it could be in your family, it could be in your friends, your people in the community, a therapist. But I think that we need to normalize that and also think about, like, take the colonization out of mental health. It doesn't have to be a spa treatment. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to get a mani-pedi. It's whatever works for you. Some people can only afford to go to sleep and drink water. That's their form of self-care and mental health. That's okay too. Do what works for you, but normalize talking about it and normalize saying, like, I don't need to be superwoman, superman all the time. I just need to be me and need to be healthy. And it's okay to take those breaks to say I'm not and then come back in the game.
Listen, I appreciate you for your time, and I appreciate all of your words. No worries. Listen, again, everything you had to say during your keynote speech was so inspirational to me, and I hope everyone was able to tap in. I have one last thing that I'd like for you. If I could get you to look at the camera and just say good morning, Wilmington, for me.
Okay. Good morning, Wilmington.
All right. Thanks so much, and we'll see you shortly.
You too.